Recording on. Cool, and we're live. So Josh, how's it going?
I'm all good, man. I got my coffee, I've had my food, I've been fasting for 16 hours. I've just eaten, so I'm happy. I'm good.
Okay. So tell me about that just quickly. What is that a normal midweek thing or?
I do it every day. I've been doing it on and off for probably 5 years, but in the last 2 months, I've consistently fasted every day for a minimum of 16 hours, sometimes going up to 24. And it's just to minimize my calorie intake within the 24-hour period. So that's something I struggle with is controlling my urges.
So did you just literally break fast at 12 or?
It was actually at 11:30. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
I try to do that as well as much as possible, but like you said, I mean, it's just during this pandemic, the grazing, let's call it the grazing, has been more. But I guess it'd be great to, obviously we've known each other for quite a few years, but it'd be great to kind of give the listeners a bit of a background about yourself. So, I mean, do you want to just give us the 2-minute overview?
Yeah, of course. So I qualified as a PT in 2007. Qualified as a gym instructor in 2005, worked through various positions, eventually ended up as a self-employed PT for a couple of years, paying an extortionate amount of rent every month.
Come on, who were you working at for or with?
LA Fitness.
Oh, good old LA Fitness, yeah.
That was £830 a month rent. I was 17. And then after 4 years, became a tutor. After 3 years with a large company that I was with at the time, decided to set up on my own. And that's how Toolbox UK PTs came about. And in 2015, set up Southend Personal Trainer Academy to run face-to-face qualifications. And then that's it really so far. That's the 2-minute version.
Yeah. So the LA Fitness side of things, what was your experience, I guess, because that kind of really gives some new trainers a bit of a focus about what it used to be like. I was at Fitness First, which was kind of about the same, must have been just under 1,000 a month. But did you feel that you learned a lot? Was it stressful? How was your business there?
So on one hand, it wasn't very stressful because I was still living with my parents. It was cash in hand. It was enjoyable. Like for me at the time, there wasn't much pressure. However, as the years went by and then, moved out, had a kid, all that sort of stuff, then it became a bit more of a pressure-filled role. And that's actually why I left in the end, is because I got headhunted by another gym and then another company after that. So the thing it taught me probably that benefited me the most over the years was my ability to go out and find opportunities, and also understanding that on the gym floor, my only option for getting clients was talking to people. This long lost art of actually using my mouth to talk to people. Like I don't even know really I don't think I was on Facebook at the time. Like that just kicked off. Literally all I had was a pen, a clipboard, and then an A4 diary. And that was it. I would just go around and be like, oh, hey, would you like a personal trainer? And then I actually figured out all these different kind of techniques and approaches and ways of adding value. And the other thing it taught me back then is I was not prepared to be running a business. I had no clue about tax. I had no bank account set up. Most of it was cash in hand. And I got to the point where, so after my first month, when they do like the rent-free periods, after my first month, I was fully booked because I was there from open till close for that first month, every day, 7 days a week. And all I would do was just like stalk the gym floor. I was like a lion looking for clients. And so I'd speak to probably 200 people a day for 30 days. And then when I came back on that 5th week, when I started paying rent, I was basically fully booked.
Yeah. So, it was more of a I don't want to say a numbers game, but you were aware of the numbers even back then, that you were kind of like, right, I've got to talk to these people. Yeah.
I was quite lucky that we were with fitness agents.
Yeah.
And they gave us a business course, which looking back now, I was like, man, that's quite basic. But really, obviously they didn't have to cover social media. They didn't have to cover branding. They just really taught you the numbers and how to go, right, this is how much you want to earn. this is how many people you need to speak to, this is how many it will convert to, this is how many will stay.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the basics of our business. That was it. Just
yeah. There's something, I mean, I don't know how you felt, but there was also something quite exciting about selling. I'd never done it, you know, in that retrospect where someone's paying a lot of money, you know, cash usually. So definitely there was a kind of buzz. And so are you still PTing now?
I would say now I'm more of a consultant. So I don't really train people, but I more advise them on like the more strategic stuff, like the nutrition and the training overview. And I do still do some massage, but that's only for a couple of like select clients, like fighters and stuff.
Yeah.
That really need it.
Yeah. Okay. And so let's move on to then, I guess, well, where we probably connected, where you kind of started building, you know, a business, you know, online. So Facebook, you know, groups and, you know, the PT Toolbox, etc. Let's talk about the kind of group first and foremost. Like, how did that even come about?
So, to give you a bit of background, in 2010, my daughter was born. And I decided, look, this self-employed cash in hand thing is good, but if I want to get a mortgage, I probably need some security, like I need a job, which looking back, that's obviously not true now. Like, the options are much wider for self-employed people. But so I got a job at Virgin Active, and then after 6 months, I got offered a job as a tutor for the training room.
Yeah.
And after 2 years of being a tutor, the thing that I noticed is they were doing these 6-week PT courses, and it was like a conveyor belt of just people just going, you know, churning through the course. And then once they finished on that last Friday, there was no support after that. And I was getting people emailing me saying, because at this point I still had my own boot camp company and I'm still PTing. And people would email me and say, oh, can I have your PARQ? Or where do I go to get insurance? And blah, blah, blah. So I thought there's got to be a way that I can help all of my ex-students without having to answer like 50 emails a week. So I set up this group called UK PTs, and I added 30 of my ex-students to it. And then basically on every course that I taught from then on, I said, right, here's this group. It's a great resource. Go and join it. And then it started to grow, and it got to a couple of hundred. And then then it got to like 700, 800, then 1,000. And at that point I was like, man, there's a lot of trainers that need help. Like this is a big, I guess now you'd call it like an opening in the market, but back then there was no financial incentive for me at the time. It was literally just because I hated to see these people that I'd spent six weeks training them, building a relationship with them. And then, you know, like 80% of them would fail within the first month or, So then I started messaging personal trainers that I knew locally and like within Essex. And this is when Facebook were a little bit slack on the rules, where you could just add loads of people. And I'd message them and I'd say, look, I've got this group, you know, thanks for accepting my friend request. Can I add you into this group for personal trainers? Like, it's completely free. There's no selling or whatever allowed. And then it just grew from there. And then once it got to like 3, 4, 5,000, then it became like a snowball effect.
Yeah, because more and more just knew they needed to. How many have you got in there now for the listeners?
15,000.
15,000. I mean, guys, if you're not in there already, you probably are. But if you're not, get in there, because some really good resources as well. Just community. I think that's what, you know, myself, and you obviously know my business partner, Harry, from Number One Fitness, you know, there isn't really much out there. And if you're a personal trainer on the gym floor, it can be quite lonely. You know, you're working 12 hours a day. You're into, you know, some sort of, maybe it's nutrition for that 6 months or whatever. You know, where do you really go? You've got gym PTs that are on the floor as well, but they're doing their own thing. So that's cool. And so how long has it been running now then?
So it's been 8 years now. Yeah.
Okay.
12.
And gosh, 15,000. So for managing that type of a community, because I've just recently seen that Facebook are trying to bring out a qualification, which is all around being a community manager on Facebook, right? So obviously you've been doing this day in, day out. How was it? Have you kind of built processes? How have you gone about it?
Yeah, so there's a couple of processes that I've put in place more recently. So initially, when it was a smaller group, all of the posts, people could just post freely. They could just post whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. Once it got to a certain size, and I couldn't individually vet every member coming in, I had to then, and I still do, vet every single post. So I approve every single post that goes into the group, or I decline it. So, you know, this morning I approved like 21 posts, and then when I get home, there could be another 30, but some of those will get declined anyway.
Yeah.
So
what do you generally decline? Is it just selling, or?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of people that will promote other groups, and they're trying to poach members, so obviously they get declined straight away.
Yeah.
People that are spammy, like selling Herbalife and Juice Plus and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
and then we put the rules in place as well. So when someone joins up, they have to agree to the rules, and then we get them to fill out a membership survey as well when they join. That's not mandatory.
Mm.
What that does is that allows us to tailor the content that we're producing to the needs of the group, so we can see generally what most people would want. Like, you know, is it around marketing or nutrition or whatever, and then we can get experts in to help teach those or do webinars and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Because I've seen you've been doing a bit more on that front, or as far as I saw, you know, webinars and stuff. Is that kind of where you want to go? You want to start kind of putting some more education out there?
Yeah, I mean, for the past, since 2015, my main focus has been my actual physical training academy in South End, because we run PT and massage qualifications up to level 4. And that was taking up most of my time, because it was the biggest money earner, to be honest. It was, you know, if you had like a graph, it was the largest part of the pie, actually. So now I've rebuilt PT Toolbox. I did that during the latest lockdown, number 1, not number 2. And I've just been focusing more on developing the online education stuff. So
yeah, okay. I mean, you showed me the PT Toolbox before, which just, do you want to just give not just give an overview, but kind of tell the trainers, you know, what it is, how does it work, how do they get involved, or you know, subscribe or whatever it might be?
So I can actually give you a bit of a world exclusive right now. So
You heard it here first, guys.
I haven't actually spoken about this publicly, but so we've got the membership site, which is it was $49.99, right? And that was for all of our courses. So there's a course on how I built UK PTs to the size it is. There's anatomy, nutrition, TRX, everything in between. How to work out your budgets, and that's growing every month. So there's at least one course a month that goes on there.
Is that £49 per month, just to be clear?
Yes, This is a membership site. However, what we're doing is we've actually had some software made that will become part of the membership. So the membership's going up to £97 a month, which sounds like a lot, but the software includes a website builder, a funnel builder, an appointments scheduling system, an e-commerce system, so you can build your own shop, and what else? CRM, so you can manage all your contacts, and an email software client like MailChimp. So all of that now will be bundled up in one place with the membership. So you've got a full inbound marketing kind of tool built in.
Yeah.
But as an example, so you could sign up for that £97. You could have, 20 websites on the go, all with different domain names, all with different features, all with like an independent shop. It's completely, like when you see like Squarespace or Wix or ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
It's comparable to those. So very
okay. So, I mean, well, ClickFunnels alone is what, 180 or something? Yeah. So
our version is, I think we've built in 100 pre-made templates. So if you can just go on there, you could make a website or a funnel within 20 minutes. It's so easy to drag and drop. So,
well, this is what I wanted to get you on as well, because we're probably using some terminology that some of the guys listening are still learning, or still kind of wanting to learn about, and that's on the kind of digital marketing space, and how do you kind of sell online. So, I mean, how would you describe, what you're saying there, the funnel side of things? Because most trainers, still they either get an Instagram page now, for example, or a website. How would you describe what funnels really do?
So a funnel is basically getting your potential client or a lead from one state or one place to another through a series of steps. So I wish I had a whiteboard behind me. A very basic funnel might be something like you run a Facebook ad to a cold audience. So, like people that have liked the David Lloyd page, for example. And then you get them to download an ebook, which is the top 10 fat loss myths or whatever. Then you put them, and then when they download the ebook, they can then, pay an extra £10 to have a consultation with you. And from the consultation, you move them to another stage. And it's just getting them into your kind of ecosystem, as we call it, like be that your online PT, your group exercise, joining your gym, whatever business it is, funnels can pretty much work for all of them. So it's just getting them from point A to point B with various things in between. So.
And do you have some resources on the PT Toolbox on kind of teaching people how to do this?
Yeah, we've got a course coming out in, I think it's December, which is about how to build funnels. But that should coincide with the launch of the software as well. So they'll be shown how to do it within our own software.
Yeah.
Plus, when the software launches, we've already got tutorial videos within it as well.
Great.
But yeah, we've got a bunch of courses on how to generate leads, and that covers quite a lot of it as well. So
okay. I mean, that for me, that was one of the reasons why I set this up, was that, we'd launched Remote Coach, and overnight just suddenly realized, shit, trainers they know, insertion points. They just have no clue, some of them, about how to build a business or, let alone brand, but just build and get clients.
where is it? So there's a book called Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson, and Russell is the guy that owns ClickFunnels. And that was loud.
You recommend that?
Definitely. I mean, it's very heavily geared towards you signing up to ClickFunnels, but the principles within the book will, be usable anywhere.
Yeah. So, I'll put a link to that in the description. Expert Secrets. But yeah, I mean, in Russell Brunson, I mean, there's a lot of marketing kind of, let's call them guys out there that tell you they're going to 10x your business and all that. But he's definitely one that has clear outcomes that you can kind of take, especially if you're just getting into this realm of kind of digital marketing.
There is one guy.
Okay.
You'll definitely know him, but I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to get sued. But he is in the fitness space, and he's an American kind of coach. But he says, we can get you to $100,000 a month. But the thing is, he is legit. I know him through a friend of a friend, and he's legitimately at the moment doing $1 million a month through ClickFunnels, and
wow.
It's fucking unreal. Like,
yeah, that is insane.
But obviously, there's a lot of stuff that he will do that probably me and you may not agree with, or we may agree with, and it's just at what point, where do you want to get to? What works for you?
Yeah. No.
Doable, but it
is. I just feel like this is just literally my opinion, is I feel some of the trainers that I speak to, and probably, myself as well, we don't realize how not how hard, but how much knowledge you need. I mean, you've created a software, or you're building a business around a software with ClickFunnels. There'll be trainers that have never created any sort of sales process, let alone a ClickFunnel. So I think it's hugely exciting, to be honest, because the more that the trainers start, reading these marketing books alongside the anatomy books, the better the industry is going to become. But just to kind of then overview, so it's going to be £97 a month for the PT Toolbox. And you get obviously access to all those resources. Are there things like PARQs on there as well?
Yeah, so we have a resource and download section, which has, I think, about 35 different documents in it. So it's got everything from client trackers, spreadsheets, all the forms you need, pre and postnatal, like it's got everything you need. And if it hasn't got it on there, you can message me and it will be on there within 7 days. So yeah, that's all included. So people can pay for that separately. That's 27 quid if they just want that. But
Yeah.
it's included with the membership as well. And it's all editable, so they can add their own branding.
Brilliant.
White label.
Okay, so future of digital fitness. What's your view on it? Kind of, do you have a view on it?
I do. So it's funny actually. I was showing someone a post yesterday at UK PTs, and this woman joined the group, and then her first post was, "Personal training is dead," and I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, who comes into a personal training group and says personal training is dead as your introductory statement like that?" Anyway, so that led on to a conversation about, the fitness industry at the moment. And I think digital fitness has been pushed forward by about 5 or 10 years because of lockdown. I think a lot of trainers were forced to adopt, some sort of online offering, whereas the majority of people saw it as this kind of substandard, like cheaper, I'm going to scale up and go live on a beach kind of offering. Like a bit like selling out. People didn't want to do it. And there was one guy that I know who literally said, "I will never, ever, ever go online, ever. Like, I hate it." And he's now got an online PT system. So I think what it's done is it's shown personal trainers it's sped up the process of them realizing that they can scale up their business by going online. They can potentially make more money, less expense, more time available for their family and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then for the future, I think there's going to be a few big players that come out with like on-demand services, like the equivalent of Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're probably going to get 4 or 5 big players that are going to dominate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who the general market will go to. And then I think you've got personal trainers that will have more of a specialist offering, who will then clean up the rest of the stuff at a higher price.
Interesting.
So I think, well, even if you look at Peloton right now, they've just released, because they've got the Peloton bike.
Yeah.
And on that, you've got, on the new one, you can swivel the screen, so you can now do yoga, Pilates, and weights workouts.
Mm-hmm.
So they've just, quadrupled their offering, and now they've just released a rowing machine as well, Peloton rowing machine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been toying with a Peloton bike, but my wife says we haven't got the space for it, and I'm like,
yeah. I mean, I'm very much. I'm still on the fence, like on the whole front of kind of just, like you said, I sometimes think it's going to go in that way. I'm definitely not fearful. So, because I've had a lot of trainers going, "Oh, this Apple Fitness Plus, it's $9.99. How am I going to compete?" And I think at the end of the day, it kind of, for certain clients, it will be a case of, they're not going to get out of bed and be held accountable for an on-demand Apple Fitness workout, right? And that's where you as a fitness professional are doing the difference. You're having that personal approach. Peloton's an interesting one because, as with the rest of these Silicon Valley kind of, it's not even a startup anymore, but they throw so much money at it that you just don't know. I mean, they spent $430 million last year, I think, but lost 200 million. And so I believe, and so, I just think that, how can you integrate this into your fitness business as a personal trainer? I mean, a couple of my clients have got Peloton bikes, and it's great because they then rely on me to say, well, am I doing a half an hour class, or am I doing an hour class? Mm. So you're still going to have that kind of, I guess what you said earlier, consultant sort of role of making sure that they stay on track. It's going to be interesting as they kind of battle it out. Definitely. I think you're right. Apple and Peloton and whoever comes to the market. It's just going to be interesting how, I think, bringing it right back to personal training, how is that going to be even priced, like you said? Is there going to be, is it going to make it cheaper, commoditize it a bit, or is it going to have just more and more specialists and you're going to need to get more cleverer, which has kind of been happening? PTs have had to get more educated, right?
Yeah. And I think, to kind of backtrack a little bit, where you said about, Peloton and where I said about Peloton and all those guys, I think what that's going to do is that will commoditize fitness. But I think with personal training, I think if personal trainers still focus on customer service, the personal touch, and adding an insane amount of value, because if you're one personal trainer and you've got 50 clients training with you online or face to face, there's going to be an amount of rapport and personal service and personal touches that an app will never be able to match ever. There's no way. Even the smartest AI.
Yeah,
people
totally agree with you.
And the thing is, like, people pay for, when they're looking at the apps and the Peloton and stuff, they're looking for convenience. So when you're building your business, you don't want to be the most convenient option. You want to be the best option. You want to be the most valuable option, the most the expert option. And I think a lot of that will come down to how you position yourself and your brand compared to Peloton and whatever.
That's really interesting. Yeah. The kind of value. I totally agree. I think what it's going to do is it's going to validate, and it's going to teach the end user. Well, this is the funny thing I put in an article the other day, is that they call them users, we call them clients, and that's in itself a difference, right? We actually care about them. But what it's going to do is it's going to teach that person that they can train from a place that you're not in. And then obviously you need to step up and have that personal approach as a trainer. What would you say? Oh, go on. Sorry.
The other thing is that people look at it as competition. So that they're a personal trainer and they see Peloton, they're like, oh shit, like, they're going to take all my clients. In reality, if Peloton are spending 430 million expanding into other markets, they are getting millions of people probably into fitness that previously weren't doing anything. They're effectively doing some form of marketing for you. So then you've got to think, right, how can I get those people from Peloton onto my books or into my, how can I start invoicing these people instead of Peloton? And
well, I was going to lead into it. How would you, let's say, there's a couple of young trainers listening to this that, how would you do it with regards to, let's call it the on-demand big players in there? How would you kind of do it?
So in the most simplest way, and this may work, but it may be too simple, I would probably put together, I would probably get someone or a few people that have got their Peloton bikes, and I would interview them. And I would find out the top mistakes they were making. So let's say, for example, I don't know if Peloton do any nutritional guidance. I'm not sure. Do you know?
Not sure now. They didn't used to, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
So let's say you put together a video series or a PDF that says the top 10 mistakes you're making with your Peloton training. And again, you'd have to check that for trademark and stuff, because if you get...
Yeah.
And probably the first thing I'd do is, well, you're training 3 times a week, you're doing this high intensity class, you're battered, you feel like shit because you're eating like shit. $19.99, let's get you onto my nutrition consult, once a week, whatever the price is. And I would use Peloton's weaknesses as a system, and I would show people, look, Peloton is really good for this, this, and this, but this is where you're going wrong, and this is how I can help you. And then I would do a Facebook ad targeting people that had liked Peloton and drive them to a landing page or to some sort of form or whatever to download that guide or get that video for free, and then start building the relationship.
Yeah. So then into the funnel, going back to the funnel. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. That's interesting. And again, like you said, there's going to be more and more people on these Peloton bikes. And I always think to myself, what happens when your Peloton bike breaks? Or it looks cool now, but in 5 years' time, when they've got some sort of floating bike, what do you get a new one for free? I mean, it's going to be interesting. But so just to kind of recap, you're not fearful at all about these coming into the space for trainers?
No, and I'll be honest, I think that comes from my own experience where, so when I first started out as a personal trainer, there were 3 of us in this gym. There were 5,000 members.
Oh, amazing.
And we were so competitive and guarded. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It was a horrible atmosphere to work in. Fast forward to now, obviously I run 2 training companies, and there are so many training companies in the UK. There are hundreds. And if I still had that mindset of oh man, what are they doing? What's he doing? Like, I'm going to look on his Instagram. Why is he doing this and I'm not? And you just need to do your own thing and just make sure you're doing everything that you can do. And just there's enough money, enough clients, enough customers for everybody, you know. If you've got the likes of David Lloyd, Virgin, all those massive gyms competing, they're all still making money.
Yeah.
They're not going onto Virgin Active's like Facebook and be like, oh my God, I'm going to add all their clients. I'm going to like them and DM them. And so I think it's about focusing on what you can do. And there will be some adaptation for PTs. There will be some things that change because inevitably there has to be. But the way that you react to that change is going to determine if you fail or succeed. You know? Same as anything. It's all about innovation, really.
And so I guess, you know, going back to the UK PTs group, how have you found, you know, it's 2020, the year that we will never forget. How have you found trainers have adopted or adapted during the time?
You had some people immediately, as soon as the lockdown, or so, because I believe they started publicising coronavirus generally in like November, December 2019, didn't they?
Yes, they did, yeah.
Without going into too much detail, I've got a lot of friends that work in like high-level security, like as bodyguards and the police and stuff. And they were starting to tell me like, this could be a problem, like start getting things in order and make sure you've got contingency plans. So there were people, when it came around in like March time, there were people that had been watching the news and listening and just paying attention generally, and they were starting to build things then, and they were getting ready. That was like type 1 of the trainer. Type 2 was the, I'm going to wait a month or two, like kind of see what happens, like it won't be that long. And they still got something done, but they got hit a little bit financially, or, you know, lost some clients, or they were like a little bit behind the curve. Then you got the third type of person that was, this is fucking awful, this is the government's fault, and all they did was they just complained. They didn't do anything. They let it dictate what they were doing rather than the other way around, you know? They were really badly affected because they allowed themselves to be badly affected, you know?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I'm massive on in my personal and professional life, is contingency plans. So we got absolutely screwed by the first lockdown because we were based out of a gym, an exercise for less gym. So when the lockdown was announced, I said to my tutor, Steve, I said, look, take everything you need, take the printer, take all the paperwork. Like, I'll take a few of my books that I want to read, whatever. And I took my Mac home and I set up at home, and so did he. But then we couldn't get in. We didn't take everything. So we couldn't get into our classroom for 4 months. So now this is a new office that we've got in a business centre. And we've got a gym nearby that we use instead. But this building has got 24/7 access. And where it's like a key fob to get in, even throughout this next lockdown, will still be open 24/7. So we can see,
brilliant.
You know, and we're all COVID secure. We've got all the certificates and all the PPE and stuff. So now, and that decision to move took me about 48 hours because I was like, look, we cannot go through this again if it happens. And people were like, no, don't worry about it. We're not going to lock down again. This is about 2 months ago. I said, no, look, we need to move anyway because we cannot have this happen again. And then we did move, and lo and behold, we've got another lockdown. So,
do you think there are many people on the group that are still that type 3 that are kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do, this government?
I think there's a couple, but I think now they're stuck where it got to, you know, like, how long were we in lockdown for? 6-7 months?
Yeah, God, mental. So 6 months, I think.
My son was born on the Tuesday, and then we went into lockdown on the Monday. So
I remember, wow. That is insane.
We're nearly 8 months. So
intense.
There are people, there's not many left of the type 3 people that are just, you know, like the apocalypse, like, oh my God, the end is nigh sort of person. But there are a few left, but they don't really post anymore. Because I think people just had enough of it.
They probably realised, right? Okay, cool. So I guess, you know, if you had to give one piece of advice then for that trainer that qualified during COVID, and is kind of at home, just on a notepad and pen, and still just not sure where to start, what would that be from you?
So focus on what you can control. There's a lot of negativity out there. There's a lot of people that will guide you down the wrong path. There's, like those type 3 trainers, they'll be going, oh, don't worry. Why did you even get qualified? Why did you do this? If you want to go and start as a personal trainer now, all it means is that you've got to follow a slightly different path to, say, you or me. You're not going to start out in a gym, at least not for the next month anyway. But there's no rush. You've got the time to set everything up the way you want to, and just focus on the stuff you can control. There are some people out there, for example, there's a friend of mine is helping people set up online PT systems for free, because he's got X amount of thousands of people in his systems, like PTs that are going online. And he said, look, if you need help, just let me know for free. I'm doing this for 10 years. So
it's amazing.
Yeah. And it's, and then, we've got the podcasts and stuff like that. There are ways to get around the situation. Even if you've just qualified, there's always a way forward. And like I say, because that was a bit of a long-winded way of saying, just focus on what you can control.
All right, cool. Well, Josh, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really, really appreciate it. I know how busy you are, but how can the listeners, I guess, connect with you? Is it best to kind of join the group, or is it to follow somewhere?
So probably the best place would be joining the UK PTs Facebook group. So they can just search, 2 words, UK PTs. And then I'm on Facebook as Josh Mullin, and on Instagram as well as Josh Mullin PT, I think. Ooh, putting PT on my name. And then if they want to have a look at the website, it's just pttoolbox.co.uk. So that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
and have a good rest of the week.